Another set of photos got one man banned from North Korea for life after 6 visits to the Hermit Kingdom since 2008. French photographer Eric Lefog was told in 2012 that he could not return.
But he was able to conceal photos the government minders told him to delete, and they give rare insight into the isolated country.
Illegal photos smuggled out of North Korea give us a rare peek into the country's tightly controlled society. These images capture moments that the government tries to hide from the outside world. Through these forbidden snapshots, we can begin to understand the untold stories of life in North Korea. Illusion of technology. In North Korea, there's a fascinating story behind the illusion of modern life. Take, for example, a striking photograph captured by Belgian photographer Eric Lefog, who explored the hidden side of this secretive nation. On his trips to North Korea, Eric noticed something curious. Tour guides often show tourists' children sitting in front of computers during family visits, giving the impression of a tech-savvy country. But there's a catch. The computers aren't even turned on. This bizarre scene unfolds because, despite the appearance of technology, most people do not have electricity. Visitors are urged to hit the delete button on the keyboard, pretending that something is happening. It's a strange balance between creating an image of normalcy and hiding the reality of strict government control. In 2008, Eric took photos that exposed the truth. North Koreans have limited access to computers and the internet, with only a select few allowed to access the global web. Eric continued to capture powerful images that revealed the government's tight grip on information. However, once the authorities realized he was sharing these photos online, they stopped him from visiting again. What do you think about the photo of a woman pretending to use a computer that's clearly off? It's a symbol of the country's controlled image, hiding the truth from the outside world. I hope you enjoy this video and are curious about the next images on the list. So stay with us, hit the like button, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any of the future updates. Pleasure Squad. Park Yeonmi, 30, a defector from North Korea now living in the United States, recently shared unsettling details about North Korea's pleasure squads, groups of women selected to serve the country's leader, Kim Jong-un. These women are chosen for their beauty and political loyalty. Officials visit schools and search for attractive girls, but they immediately check the family's background, eliminating any girls with relatives who have escaped the country or are connected to South Korea. Park revealed that she was considered twice, but rejected due to her family's past. Once selected, the girls undergo strict medical checks to confirm their virginity, and even tiny imperfections like scars can disqualify them. After passing these tests, they are sent to Pyongyang. The pleasure squad is split into 3 groups, one for massage, another for performances like songs and dances, and the third to entertain Kim Jong-un personally. The Moranbong Band, a group of talented musicians and dancers, is one example, often performing publicly for Kim. The pleasure squad dates back to Kim Il-sung's rule in the 1970s, with each leader's preferences shaping the group's selection. By their mid-20s, many members are married off to bodyguards, often viewing it as a privilege. Watching foreign movies is illegal in North Korea. Me do it anyway. When Yeonmi Park was a young girl in North Korea, life felt confined to strict government-approved messages. One day, she visited her uncle's house in the Ryanggang province near the Chinese border. What she watched there wasn't allowed on state-run television, a pirated copy of Titanic. In the dim light, with blankets covering the windows and the sound turned low, Park watched the film and felt confused. "I never heard my father say he loved my mother or her say it to me," she recalls. "In my world, love was only spoken for the dear leader. How could a man die for a woman?" The idea of love was strange to her. By the time Park fled North Korea in 2007, she'd secretly seen Hollywood movies, South Korean shows, and even American wrestling matches. For just a few hours, it was like escaping to a different world, she says. It was almost like dreaming about a different planet. While the North Korean regime works hard to isolate its people, things have changed. Black market media now flows in, challenging the strict narrative controlled by the government. USBs, DVDs, and portable players keep foreign films and ideas circulating. Despite harsh punishments, North Koreans secretly crave the outside world, and that craving is sparking a slow revolution within. Pyongyang's subway system. Beneath the streets of Pyongyang lies a world few people outside North Korea have seen. The city's metro system, 360 feet below ground. This system, which started construction in 1968 and opened in 1973, isn't just a transportation network, it's a hidden shelter. In case of war, the deep tunnels and stations are designed to double as nuclear bunkers, offering safety for citizens if tensions with the outside world erupt into conflict. The Pyongyang metro stretches across 2 lines, running for a combined 18 miles, making it the deepest underground train system in the world. While it's usually bustling with commuters, the metro's true purpose lies in its depth. The station platforms, ornate with chandeliers and murals, are built to withstand the worst. The trains, old German carriages purchased in 1999 just before being scrapped, are a rare sight to outsiders. Though North Korea claims the trains were locally built, the occasional graffiti on the carriages tells another story. French photographer Eric Laforgue, who visited Pyongyang, captured striking images of this underground world. There are only 17 stations, and they are simple but functional. Tickets, costing just half a United States cent, are usually validated by an attendant, as the automated machines often break down. As with many other places in the country, the visits of the ruling family are commemorated, with red billboards marking the dates they pass through. For the people of Pyongyang, the metro is not just a means of getting around. It's a symbol of survival, a place of shelter and remembrance, hidden deep beneath their city, waiting for a time when it might be more than just a train ride. Illegally taken photos of soldiers relaxing. In North Korea, photography is tightly controlled by the government. Visitors are not allowed to take photos of military personnel, vehicles, or installations. Anything linked to the country's defense forces is off limits. This extends to military checkpoints, where the mere act of holding up a camera or phone can raise suspicion. Anyone wishing to capture moments in the country must respect these rules. Photographers are often accompanied by a government guide who ensures they remain within designated areas, preventing any unauthorized shots. Venturing outside these approved zones is strictly prohibited. Even within the approved spaces, there are guidelines to follow. Before snapping a photo of a local, always ask for permission. It's a sign of respect. Avoid capturing images that show the country in a negative light, such as poverty or visible hardship. The government prefers that foreigners focus on the positive aspects of the country's culture and history. When photographing monuments or statues of the leaders, make sure to frame the entire statue from the front and capture its full height. If you decide to pose in front of these statues, keep your hands at your sides and out of your pockets as a sign of reverence and respect for the nation's leaders. Low safety standards for workers. In North Korea, the conditions for workers are harsh and dangerous, far from what one might expect in a modern workplace. Safety standards are alarmingly low, with workers often facing dangerous environments that jeopardize their health and lives. A 2021 report from the World Health Organization, WHO, and the International Labor Organization, ILO, paints a grim picture. North Korea has the highest rates of work-related deaths among United Nations member states. In 2000, the death rate was 56.2 per 100,000 workers, and by 2016, it had risen to 79.5. Compared to its neighboring countries in Northeast Asia, North Korea's record is by far the worst. Workers are subjected to exploitative conditions. Many are forced into labor without any pay and under constant threat of physical abuse, including beatings. Women face the added risk of sexual violence while performing their duties. The situation is so dire that many of these workers, including prisoners, are treated so poorly that their labor could be classified as modern-day slavery. The government fails to ensure the welfare of its people, and their suffering continues without relief. Life for these workers is a daily struggle, trapped in a cycle of exploitation and abuse. A solider sleeping in the field. In the harsh and demanding world of North Korean soldiers, exhaustion is an all too common companion. A recent leaked photo shows a soldier asleep in a field, a quiet moment of rest amid the pressure. The image speaks volumes about the intense stress these soldiers face, often working long hours in grueling conditions. However, falling asleep on duty is a risky mistake, as it could lead to serious consequences if the authorities discover it. Now that the photo has spread online, there's a lingering fear that it may soon attract the attention of the North Korean government, amplifying the already high stakes for the soldier involved. Bad transport. In North Korea, poor transportation is a daily struggle that many endure without complaint. Imagine needing to get somewhere quickly, only to find yourself stuck in a long line for a bus. This is the reality for many North Koreans. A recently leaked photo captures the chaos of such a scene. Hundreds of people crowded together, waiting for a bus, with the line stretching far enough to fill multiple vehicles. For those at the back, the wait seems endless. Queuing has become a national pastime, a symbol of the daily challenges people face just to go about their lives in a country where transportation is always in short supply. Shopping mall for elites. In the heart of Pyongyang, inequality is on full display in a shopping mall reserved solely for the country's elite. A photo recently leaked from inside this exclusive space shows a woman dressed in lavish clothing, pushing a cart filled with high-end goods. But what's most striking isn't the luxury of the items she's purchasing. It's the emptiness that surrounds her. The mall is virtually deserted, not because of a lack of customers, but because it is off limits to the vast majority of North Koreans. Only the top-tier citizens, or those with connections to them, are allowed entry. This stark division highlights the deep social inequality that separates the privileged few from the rest of the population. In Pyongyang's two supermarkets, for example, foreign brands like Evian water and other luxuries are only available to the elite. For the majority, such privileges remain a distant dream. Man eats grass. In the bleak reality of North Korea, hunger is an ever-present shadow for many. A leaked photo starkly captures the desperation of a man in an open field, hunched over, picking grass with his bare hands. At first, it might seem like he's simply working the land, but the truth is far more tragic. This man is not harvesting crops, he's searching for food. Grass, of all things, is what he must rely on to stave off the gnawing emptiness in his stomach. While this may sound unfathomable to those in nations where food is plentiful, it is a daily struggle for countless North Koreans. The elites live in comfort, their lives untouched by such deprivation, while the majority fight to survive. In the West, such images often circulate with captions that explain the grim truth. North Koreans are so desperate for food that they turn to grass. But don't expect to hear this from the guides. They're furious if visitors take photos of such raw realities. Cistern in a washroom. In North Korea, not everyone is impoverished, but the struggles are felt across all levels of society. A revealing photo paints a picture of this reality, showing a bathroom that, on the surface, might seem relatively modern. Yet, upon closer inspection, something is off. In place of a proper water storage system, there's a cistern in the bathroom, a surprising sight in what should be a basic living space. This photo tells a deeper story of the country's failing infrastructure, where even homes considered to be modern by local standards are forced to make do with inadequate plumbing. It's a stark reminder of the hardships faced by many, even those who are relatively well off. If this is the condition of homes chosen for foreign visitors, one can only imagine the state of those belonging to the poorer citizens of the country. The image captures a rare, telling glimpse into the struggle, even in places where it might not be expected. Child labor. In North Korea, children are subjected to unimaginable hardships under the guise of state service, their childhood sacrificed for the country's demands. Students, instead of attending school, are often mobilized to collect hard-to-find items like scrap iron, which is almost non-existent in the country. They are required to participate in agricultural labor, assist with construction projects, and even take part in performances for national holidays celebrating the ruling Kim family. The tasks given to students are grueling and dangerous. They're forced to help build schools, repair railroads, and even work on private homes for school staff, all while being told to provide their materials. These young students work in harsh conditions, often under the burning North Korean sun, instead of being in a classroom where they belong. The troubling part? They're not left to fend for themselves. Soldiers supervise the work, cementing the government's involvement in this exploitation. This stark contrast between North Korea's claims of prioritizing education and the reality of children doing hazardous labor highlights the country's hypocrisy. The images that have surfaced online speak volumes about the inhumane treatment of its youngest citizens. It's a chilling reminder of the true cost of the regime's demands and the bleak future awaiting those trapped under its control. Forced labor. In North Korea, forced labor is a grim reality for many citizens, often indistinguishable from regular work. The line between voluntary and coerced labor is blurred, as individuals are expected to contribute to the state's needs with little choice in the matter. From a young age, many children are sent to work in farming collectives, often performing exhausting tasks under harsh conditions, with failure leading to severe punishment. This cycle continues as they grow older, especially in the military, where they spend more time working than performing any other duties. Whether it's construction projects or agricultural labor, the work is physically demanding and often done with minimal resources. Despite the grueling nature of this labor, workers are rarely compensated, as the concept of fair wages is almost non-existent. While the elite enjoy the fruits of the collective labor, the majority of the population toils away without recognition or fair pay. Even those who manage to escape the worst conditions often find themselves trapped in a system where their work is undervalued and their well-being ignored. In contrast to the exploitation faced by most, South Korea offers a stark reminder of what fair compensation for labor looks like. North Koreans, once free from forced labor, can only hope for a future where every worker is treated with dignity and paid fairly for their hard work. Fear of misinterpretation. In North Korea, paranoia runs deep, even in everyday situations. While at a fun fair, a simple picture of a mother and child resting on a bench was taken. But it sparked immediate concern. The guides, worried that the image might be misinterpreted, insisted the photo be deleted. They feared that it could be seen as depicting homelessness or poverty, a narrative that could damage the country's image. This highlights how tightly controlled and monitored even small, innocent moments are in North Korea, where even the simplest images are viewed through a lens of suspicion. Gray markets. In North Korea, where access to goods is heavily controlled, gray markets have become a lifeline for ordinary citizens. These small, informal shops are run by lower-class individuals, offering a modest selection of items, often including everyday necessities like cigarettes or sweets. Despite their limited offerings, gray markets are a vital resource in a society where legal shopping options are restricted to the elite. These makeshift stores, though lacking in variety, provide a chance for average North Koreans to find basic supplies that are otherwise hard to come by. For many, these gray markets are their only hope for survival in a tightly regulated economy. Brooms standing on the base of Kim Il-sung's statue in Mansudae, the Mansudi Grand Monument in Pyongyang, home to the towering statues of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il, is one of North Korea's most sacred sites. This area is meticulously maintained with strict rules governing its upkeep. Visitors are forbidden from taking photos of the statues from behind, and even the slightest sign of disrespect, like littering, is severely punished. However, a shocking image recently surfaced, showing a broom carelessly left leaning against Kim Il-sung's statue. This unexpected moment of neglect is unsettling, given the intense scrutiny the monument is usually under. The photo has stirred both concern and disbelief, with many wondering what consequences the responsible individual might face. Starving kids. In the streets of Baegabong, a heartbreaking image was captured, showing two young children, their faces filled with hunger, eating raw corn they found on the ground. The scene suggests that these children, possibly after working long hours, were so famished that they couldn't wait to return home to eat. The raw corn, a desperate attempt to satisfy their hunger, highlights the stark reality that many children in North Korea face, far from the idyllic picture the government projects. This image serves as a painful reminder of the immense struggles these young ones endure, hidden from the world's view, yet glaringly evident in moments like this. Forbidden to take a picture of not well-dressed person. In North Korea, appearance holds great importance, and even the smallest actions are influenced by strict regulations. While observing a group of students dancing in a park, a curious moment unfolded. When a photograph was requested, one of the girls quickly told a man to straighten his shirt. This act highlighted the country's emphasis on clothing, which goes beyond just fashion. It's about maintaining the ideological purity expected by the regime. Photography in public spaces is heavily restricted, with strict laws against taking pictures of people unless they are properly dressed and given permission. This reflects the immense pressure North Koreans face to conform to the government's expectations of appearance and behavior. The fisherman uses attire as a boat. On a quiet lake near Wonsan, a fisherman can be seen using a tire as his boat. In a land where resources are scarce, this makeshift vessel tells a story of survival and adaptability. With little to work with, the fisherman uses what he has to continue his daily life. This humble scene reflects the resilience of the people, finding ways to navigate even the most difficult of circumstances. The man was resting on the rocks. By the serene shores of Chilbo in North Korea, a man was seen resting on the rocks, enjoying a moment of peace by the sea. However, upon noticing the photograph, the guide quickly asked for it to be deleted, fearing that Western media might misinterpret the scene and claim the man was dead. Despite the concern, the man was very much alive, simply taking a break from his day. This moment highlights the strict caution exercised when portraying daily life in North Korea, where even the simplest images are often scrutinized. Brand new restaurants for elites. The Taedonggang Seafood Restaurant, located along the peaceful Taedong River in Pyongyang, is a place where only the richest and most powerful can dine. The restaurant is huge, covering 24,000 square meters, and looks like a boat floating on the water. With 3 stories, it can seat up to 1,200 people, but it's only for some. Only the elite get to experience the luxury here. On the first floor, there are ponds filled with fish like sturgeon, salmon, and trout. Some lucky locals can fish and have their catch cooked at the restaurant. The second floor has small, fancy seafood restaurants, each offering different types of meals, including traditional Korean seafood and sushi. The third floor has a buffet, a bar with Taedonggang beer, and a place to sit outside. It's a great spot to relax and enjoy the sunset. This restaurant is a special place made for the few who can afford such luxury in Pyongyang. Soldiers' labor. As tensions grow on the Korean peninsula following North Korea's recent missile tests, soldiers have been mobilized to work on military-run farms near their bases. These soldiers are not just farming. They are also expected to maintain combat readiness at all times, even while working in the fields. According to a local source from North Hamgyong province, soldiers are required to remain fully prepared for combat, no matter where they are. Since there are no permanent accommodations, they set up temporary tents by the fields. They must keep their uniforms on and carry their weapons, even during rest periods or while sleeping. This strict policy is not directly related to the missile launches, but to maintain discipline within the military. Recently, soldiers working on these farms have shown signs of slacking off, wearing more casual clothing, interacting too much with civilians, and even taking crops from local homes. As a result, the authorities have enforced stricter rules, ensuring that soldiers wear their full uniforms and keep their weapons with them to curb this behavior. Despite these efforts, soldiers continue to face severe food shortages. A woman standing in the crowd of soldiers. In the heart of a crowded scene, a woman stands surrounded by soldiers, an unusual sight in North Korea, where images of the military are heavily controlled. Photos of the army are strictly forbidden, yet this rare moment captures a fleeting glimpse of daily life, a silent defiance of the rules. The woman's presence amidst the soldiers hints at a deeper story, one that the government seeks to keep hidden from the world. It's a glimpse into a world where even the smallest moments are carefully monitored. Undisciplined kids. In the small streets of Samyejeon, a rare sight happened. As a bus drove along the narrow road, a child suddenly stood in the middle, blocking the way. This unusual act stood out in a place where children are expected to follow the rules closely. It was a brief moment of defiance, showing a glimpse of freedom in a country where discipline is usually strict. In a world where control is strict, these illegal photos offer a rare glimpse into life inside North Korea. Smuggled out against the odds, they reveal the hidden truths that the government tries to keep from the outside world. These images are not just pictures, they're powerful stories of courage, struggle, and resilience. As they continue to surface, they remind us of the importance of seeing beyond the official narrative.